Welcome, one and all. This is the second Wednesday of Stone Soup's 55th anniversary month. This May, as of May 1st, Stone Soup turned 55. I don't want to share my age to show how close we are. We could have been related and raised just enough of years of bred just enough years apart so that we would be brothers who could fight each other. But I am so glad that everyone is here. I'm very glad that Harris Gardner was the inaugural feature for year 55 going on in May. We should have four full weeks of feature this year. Next week, I'll just hype it up. Meg Smith, very popular Lowell poet. Um, who actually does Kerouac related festivals. She is also been a longtime friend of Stone Soup, helping with features and fundraisers. So I'm looking very forward to hearing her next week on the 20th, and hopefully I'll be able to announce the surprise feature for the final Monday in just a couple of days. But for now, our feature tonight is Steve Glines, a man who was helming Stone Soup when I knew him when I started first coming to Stone Soup around 2003, 2004. He was still at the helm, leading things on as the merry eclectic band that it was. And it wasn't and also hosted the website, which I was appreciative of. It wasn't long after that I took over around 2000, actually around late 2005, September of 2005, with first feature ever being the late and Carhart. So it's been a long journey for both of us, and Steve, of course, has for years been part of the editor of the Wilderness House Literary Review, his own publishing arm. He's published his own books and that of others. He is one of the hardest working people working in this business, still writing, still editing, still keeping the torch alive for the Boston publishing scene and the Boston writing and poetry scene. So we thank him for his efforts, and we honor him with the open mic, which he'll be listening to, and then we all listen to him afterwards. We're going to start courtesy of the Ramdonator 5000. Not AI. I use an old life spinner from the game of life, and the combination of new math and old math. Our first open micer for tonight, as selected by this secret method, is going to be Mr. Randy Barish.
Hi. Been a while, folks, but instead of reading something from my books, I read something, a more recent poem I wrote a couple years ago called Vision of a Moonlit Field. Through a magic night of dreams, I recall a vision of a moonlit field soaked with dew. From the north, the cool September wind stirred through the trees. The ghostly opal clouds drifted high over the midnight field, advancing in waves of swirling cotton, mingling with sapphire blue and illuminated by the moon, weaving a glowing tapestry of ethereal beauty. A resounding chorus of crickets rose up to greet silent spectral lunar who blazed through the parting clouds on her nightly journey. Like a silver chariot across the autumn sky, shining with hypnotic splendor on the minnow mist. This haunted dance of clouds, wind, and moonlight of a dream realm I'll long remember. Thank you.
Nicely done.
Good to be
And
back.
we're going to move now to the next Ramdonator selection. I'd like to go to Miss Mary Jennings.
Hold on. Here we go. Thank you. Thank you. I'm just going to read. Excuse me. I'm just going to read from a work in progress that ended up being 4 pages, but I'm only going to read the first page of it. And the piece is called Reclaim. and reading part one from it. How we dared to show our skin and wear our hair in any way we pleased, to paint in colors from a new mix of primaries that would scare the monochromes, to let shape and form evolve that would serve a purpose and did. No one was hurting anyone. We made miracles happen. We had work ethic, good cheer, and excellent skill side by side, committed to service to all, not just a few. We didn't walk on water or bring the dead back to life or give birth in old age. We healed, we guided, we taught, we fixed, we fed, we built, we washed, we grew, we cooked, we engineered. This democracy moment brought to you by a dream, carried away by the idea that love will prevail. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Sorry, I was trying to prompt you to unmute, and I ended up muting you after you unmuted. So that's an error I commit at least one fiscal quarter per Stone Soup year. Starting
Okay.
early this year. Let's go now to, I'd like to go to Jan Rowe next, Black Seed Writer, Stone Soup regular.
Hi. Um, this is like from last week. I'm going to read putting in, it's the time of year, putting in the seed. And I mean, the dreary stuff is this about this fertilizer because we're not all that ready to go organic. But anyway, and also Robert Frost, he suffered a lot of rejection. I forget what year he was born, but a lot of his work was rejected initially, and he had trouble farming. Um, he didn't about milking the cows and stuff in the morning. But anyway, oh, this putting in the seed. When the seed comes up, it reminds me, foghorn leghorn. Okay, the little chicken hawk. When I used to plant peas, and he's got it in this sonnet, Robert Frost. And who did you say the chicken hawk? I mean, who's the foghorn leghorn? Who's usually mean but nice? He's trying to control the chicken hawk, he said the other night. Okay, but anyway, putting in the seed. You come to fetch me from my work tonight when supper's on the table, and we'll see if I can leave off bearing the white, soft petals fallen from the apple tree. Soft petals, yes, but not so barren quite. The soft petals mingled with these smooth bean and wrinkled peas, and go along with you ere you lose sight of what you came for and become like me, slave to a springtime passion for the earth. How love burns through the putting of the seed, on through the watching for that early birth, when just as the soil tarnishes with weed, the sturdy seedling with arched body comes shouldering its way and shedding the earth crumbs. Thank you, Robert Frost.
Son, I say, son, you gotta keep them on your toes. Toes, that is. Look at me when I'm talking to your son. Boy's slower than a bag full of shovels. Okay, let's go next to Mr. John Engstrom.
Okay, can you hear me all?
Yep, I
I'm
can.
okay, okay, good. This is by me. It's new and it's called Media Verite. Now we take a mental health recess from political violence on the TV screen with a refreshing commercial break. Two talking heads embedded in a giant heart, disembodied faces like a weird special effect in a fantasy silent by Méliès or a Beckett monologue delivered by moving lips in a void, speaking to us as if through the magic portholes of a giant cardiovascular system, represented by production designers as a monumental pink heart with generous bosoms and intricately woven Moorish arteries and veins. Medical illustration by Jeff Koons. But there is no TV sound. So the presumptive words of the talking heads fall on presumptive deaf ears, ours, and the amazed looking eyes of a visionary black man who encounters the astral couple, the supernatural apparition, otherwise known as a commercial advertisement, in broad daylight. Of course, backstage puppeteers ring down our mental curtains on the garish fantasy, just when we start having thoughts about what those actors got paid for, their humiliating work. Did the black actor get paid less than the white actors, etc.? I don't even remember what product the ad was promoting. Perhaps it was a healthy heart with two garrulous human faces stuck in it. God, I wish I'd gone into professional media.
Thank you, John. Glad you could make it. For anyone listening to us on the live stream, if you're having difficulty getting in to Stone Soup, as John did last week, and I didn't realize until it was too late, the password code for Stone Soup is always going to be Stone Soup in one word, lowercase. Sometimes Zoom demands that we put it in, even though I give you a direct link. So open mic or beware. I'm going to bring it over now, according to excuse me, according to the Ramnator 5000. I'd like to bring it next to Jacqueline Bookchester.
She sent me a card with a laminated iris. Would this still remind her anymore? Still a bloom? Surpasses my position in time and spatial awareness, known, and she too is also known. I wasn't there to even replace, just dissipated with the moon's light and shade. Candles for me, pleasant to stave from measuring myself against the tastes of living shells. I wander away into my own. Please announce another stone thrown from a place unknown to shelter through alone and hear the throbbing concentric drone of solo. That's it.
This one. I have a feeling Jackie's going to be coming back soon because I'm bringing up next. For those of you joining us for the first time, we don't always do just poetry. Sometimes we throw in a little microfiction, sometimes or serialized fiction. If you're John Wesick, who writes novellas in his sleep, unfortunately, is not with us this month because he has other engagements. But we'll be keeping a spot warm for him. But sometimes we also have dramas. I created the moniker Stone Soup Players just as a joke, and everyone's taking it serious, and everyone wants to write a little play, and everyone wants to direct. It's official. Our latest director tonight is Richard Spizak, the poet of Three Rivers himself. Take it away, sir.
For those of you that weren't with us last week, or actually the week before, this is a little play called The Human Mediated Technology. A corporation approached a school and asked them to choose two teachers to take some high-tech AI training to basically learn how to interface with an AI bot, an AI personality. So two teachers were chosen, the Introduction to Computer teacher and the home ec teacher, because she teaches a class not only in home ec, but it was also in human relations and family values and stuff like that. So here we go. I'm going to share a screen, and the script will be up on the screen. Our players tonight, we have Robert as Principal Poop. We have the charming and talented Jacqueline as Sarah Bellum, the home ec and human relations teacher. We've got for Bob Alou, the computer introduction teacher, that is Brother Bill Lewis. And on the corporate ghoul, that would be Chad tonight. And I will be impersonating the narrator. So here we go. Let me share a screen and bring it up there for you. Boom. And share. And here we go. Let me get Sunny. So there we go. Human Mediated Technology Part 2, Acts 2 and 3, how not to lose the human touch. Players, the narrator, Principal Poop, Sarah Bellum, Bob Ballou, and Corpo. Scene 2, narrator says, Principal Poop gets a call from the grantor.
I don't see. Oh, there we go.
Corpo, that's you, buddy.
You might want to expand the screen a little bit
Oh, okay. I'll do
because I
that.
can't. It's hard for me to see.
Okay, I'll even jack up the text a little, huh?
You might have to.
Yeah, no problem. We've got plenty of screen here. And let's go up. We'll go up to, let's go to 14 and bring this wide. There we go. Is that better, or should it like a little bit bigger?
Can you have it take up the whole screen, the screen of the computer?
I can do that. Sure. Over here, and we'll go to whole screen.
There we go.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Okay, so back up here. There we go.
There we go. Almost at the top. All right, there we go.
Okay,
And,
Corpo.
Okay, Principal Poop says, Principal Poop gets a call from the grantor.
Principal Poop, I've got good news. Our hopes are fulfilled.
Okay, good. I knew we would have to take it. I can't shit.
And the new interface is working great, and all the reports show remarkable engagement with interface dwell times, beating all expectation. In fact, I lost $50. Susie Homemaker really fooled me. She's jumped in both feet.
Did you use the last strip of toilet paper? I just want to make sure we're still in the running for bonuses.
Keep the ad-libbing down. Well, anyway, we need the photo releases, but otherwise, yeah, in fact, Susie Homemaker has made some very interesting suggestions to improve the interface. Those were all passed along to the engineering team. In fact, I heard they've done some additional prototyping at her suggestions. I haven't heard all the details, but I heard they call it the Jagger 2 upgrade. I don't know the details. I figure if I'm too interested, the price goes up.
I'm going to need a toilet seat protector. Do I need to call them? Are we okay? Bonuses are coming.
Remember, get the photo releases signed off.
When's the photo shoot? I'd like to be photographed in front of the school. That's a bonus.
We already have the photos, and we'll be getting more.
And their interactions, are they being recorded?
All of them. I've seen a few. They're pretty interesting, but we'll need all the releases signed before any check gets signed off. Make sure you get those signatures.
What kind of suggestions has Sarah made?
Gotta run. See you at the check awarding ceremony after they return to school next week.
Tell me about the new interface. I'm curious. You asked me not to contact them. Well, what is it? What interface? Is there software?
Yeah, software. All right. It's the latest thing in AI human-machine interface. It's a kissing her.
Does software help me poop? What's a kissing AI bot? What's an interface?
Yeah, gotta run. Remember what I said about the ad-libbing?
Kissing interface. I love my AI bot. Kiss me.
Our hosts have completed their training, generating tetrabytes of human-machine interface data.
Congratulations. All your reports, you've completed training successfully. I'm so happy. I'm so happy. I love the interface and the corporation sponsoring this training. I love it. They were insistent that I not be involved in the summer project. So now what it's been concluded, what can you tell me about this training? Bob, what was your assessment? Do you think it will enhance the students' education, their jobs, their skills? Sarah, listen! Do you think this will be a new dimension to the future of homemakers? Principal Poop needs to know.
The teachers are studiously avoiding their boss's gaze, looking everywhere but directly at him. They now what a lifesaver for their public school. They will try to put the best spin on it.
I'm curious. I saw this potential. Big cash infusion to the school. Private school vouchers. Vouchers! Decimated our budgets. Tell me!
Well, it will certainly add a new dimension to student relations. It might even reduce a few certain problems, but it may well teach them something about dealing with their AI bosses.
Oh yeah, Bob. What interface did they send? They sent me out the loop. They didn't keep me in the loop. Did you tell me a thing? Sarah, you're sort of new to all of this. What's your reaction? Can you make room for this in your homemaking class?
Home breaking more like. Home breaking more like.
I don't understand.
My husband left me.
Was it the time you had to put into this training? I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I had no idea.
He left with the bot. He abandoned her for a bot, and he calls it Tina.
Yes, that's about the size of it. Claims it really loves him.
The principal pushes himself back from the desk and leans back, staring out the window.
Really? Should I try to love the bot?
Boss, this is not a unique situation. It's an easy interface. It can easily be manipulated to engage, and it has a set of response objects. And if it's trained to be pleasing, well, real people are more complicated. Real people have needs beyond electricity and hard drives. When a guy gets a hard drive, well, I don't have to say anymore.
I had no idea. Is AI an addiction or is it love?
The principal's secretary knocks and enters. Big smile. The checks are here. Full amount both. She tosses 2 thick envelopes on Principal Poop's desk. His face starts to grin, but then his 2 AI teachers, his smile freezes halfway.
I think it's all about the interface. Ken really got into it.
Bob, are you a sissy? Okay.
Well, President Poop, Chad, we had issues with the interface too.
You and the sissy? Well, somebody tell me what the hell is this interface thing?
They added a haptic enrichment tool that works directly with the AI personal intelligence neural network. In my case, I called her Cherry because she was,
Sweet. Yeah, Ken called it sweet too, but he named his Peaches. I should elaborate. I might have guessed it was getting out of hand when he insisted I order one for him also. Oh, they were quite accommodating.
You and sissy? Well, somebody tell me what this carnivore hell, what is this interface? I'll call mine Pauline.
I got this. I read it so many times. Kissinger, Kiss Messenger. is an application with the Lovotics framework. It stands as a groundbreaking innovation in the field of human-robot interaction.
Kissinger involved a pair of robots designed to transcend physical spaces and facilitate the exchange of kisses through interactive digital media.
Kisses. I love robot kisses.
They have an interface that is you close your eyes.
More. There's more robot kisses.
But wait, there's more. More than robot. Principal Pip.
More?
There's more than robot kisses?
There is the open mouth with tongue extension upgrade. That's what it did for Ken.
Now, a word from our sponsors, Tonsils. For further information, contact This Is Real, kissinger.lovotics.com. Just as we form deep emotional bonds with our pets, this is their script. Lovotics explores the potential for similar connections with robots, ushering in a new frontier of human-robot relations rooted in genuine emotional engagement. That's real. When I told this story to some poets overseas, one of my friends said, you know what? I know a guy who fell in love with his bot and left his family.
Oh dear. Wow.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Spizak and the Stone Soup players. I want to keep things going, so let's see who we go to next. I'd like to go next to Patricia Kerrigan.
Hi. This was just recently published for Jerry Jazz. Happy Nation inspired by Ace of Base. The young years ages fast. We eat and breathe the chemicals and apprehension. This nation tells us stay alive, keep sacrificing, pay another increase, because companies are people too. Money rings your bell, leaves at the turn of the lock. Health issues grow on dying trees. Work harder, make less. Surviving is your animal instinct. Your pain is your pain. Deal with it. You live in the greatest fallacy. The stars and stripes wave in lies and goose steps. Your leader claims he's Christ, the doctor that cures. His gospel leads us into temptation. He is heavenly delusion, protector of the misinformed. Some cross themselves. The letter T is sacrosanct. Some still drink his wine. This country has gone too far, but his choir sings for praise. They don't see the children gather by the door, blackened eyes, cut lips, opened mouths, hushed. The fear for the present lives in the future. What future? The children gave up asking. Thanks.
Now I'd like to welcome up Mr. Bill Lewis.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Chadford. I should like to share. I see I can do that. I just finished classes, and so for my classes, my students, I give them a diploma. So here is one of the diplomas for one of my students, Jillian. And it's just a little thing I send them. We spent 70 hours together. So, I want to let them know how much I appreciate them, how beautiful life is, and how optimistic I am about the future. When I work with the kids, man, We are going great places, man. This country is getting better and better, and people, so many of the problems we are leaving behind us. And I'm just feeling like, yes, 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 we have it now. Anyway, so I have been reading this wonderful story which I wrote uh, about my time in Estonia. I lived in Tallinn for 3 months, the coldest winter since World War II. And I was inspired to write this story about a half Russian, half Estonian boy living in Tallinn and the experiences that he has from, of course, my imagination in the streets that I know and all the places that I've spent so much time at and my observation of people. Anyway, so here we go. Our dear friend Yuri. Sundays were Yuri's day with his father. It was always a mystery as how it would go. If his father had been drinking on Saturday night, he wouldn't even wake up until noon. Then Yuri would take the bus out, and they usually just talk and walk around in the woods. If his father had watched a hockey match Saturday night, then Yuri could be sure that it was a day of physical torture. His father would be full of energy and enthusiasm and want Yuri to share it. He'd run in the hills and insist Yuri keep up. He'd bring a stopwatch and make sure Yuri ran up the steep slope next to the ski jump, urging him to beat his previous time. Yuri loved this time with his father, even if he was demanding. The only time his father would hit him was when he really deserved it, when he knew he deserved it, like when he lied or refused to push himself when his father demanded it. It was okay to be slow as long as he was honestly trying. The bus ride was fun. His mother would give him 2 tickets, tell him to be careful, and kiss him goodbye. As long as his father hadn't called to tell him to hurry, Yuri could take his time. At school, after school on Monday, Yuri went straight to the refuge. From Rutli, there was nothing to be seen. A wire gate had been erected in front of the archway, and a sign in Russian and Estonian stated that the area was closed for archaeological research. Yuri went back to the stairwell that went up to Tompeia and made his way past the city shield toward the lower garden. There were a couple of people standing one level up, watching the archaeologists below. A rope with a sign on it blocked the stairway down. There was much happening, and people would come and watch for a few minutes, then continue on their way. Yuri caught a few snatches of conversation. A woman was explaining the value of studying the city history. A couple of teenagers were talking about witches and pretending to cast spells on each other. One conversation in particular caught his ear. 413 spoons and new ones. No one has any idea how they have gotten there. There was a crack in the floor, and when they pried it open, there they were. But it was still cold, and the couple hurried on. Yuri watched them mount the stairway toward Tompeia. There were a few people on the top level, too, who paused to watch the activity. One of them held a cat. It was the old woman. Yuri stared at her. She looked 200 years old. Her skin was wrinkled and spotted. Her hair was wild, sticking out from under a scarf, a pointed hat in all directions. Her clothes were equally ragged and ancient. She wore a black woolen cape and dirty brown dress. The wind didn't seem to bother her. She simply stood and watched. Others came and left. She stayed. Well, if it isn't our little thief. Marina came up the stairs, a look of disgust on her eyes. I told you never to come back to that cafe, and what did you do? I didn't mean to. I didn't mean to. It was him, Vladimir, who took me there. I don't care who took you there. Let them take you somewhere else. She took hold of Yuri's jaw and he held his face in her. I never, never want to see your ugly little face again. Understood? Yuri nodded. He was frightened, but he also wanted her to frisk him for the spoon again. She slapped him with her free hand. This is a warning. If you ever come back, you will regret it. She left him and started up the stairs. The old woman watched silently.
Thank you, Bill. And now for something completely different. No, really. We have poets and we have visual poets. The reason why I have to implement screen share. And there are some visual poets and there are some visual poets from Lewis, Delaware. And Robert Fleming is, believe it or not, a visual poet from Lewis, Delaware.
Thank you, Chad, and happy birthday, Chad.
Oh, God. No.
So I'm currently preparing for Gay Pride, which is happening next month. And one of the ways I'm preparing is to deciding which art and writing to promote. So I'm going to share some of the images which I'm going to promote for Gay Pride this year. So these are the Badlands in South Dakota in the United States, and I made them change the color to pink. I just lost the screen. Here we go.
Yeah, it looks like it's coming up.
Okay. And this is California Highway 1, which is right on the Pacific coast. I've added the rainbow rays and converted some of the land to pink. And here is, this is created with a filter called Ink Splatter. This is Greenland with the land converted to rainbow. And here we have the Hollywood sign in Los Angeles called Hollywood Pink. And this is Jackson's Rainbow Drip, which is a tribute to Jackson Pollock's style of paint. This is downtown Los Angeles. The largest building is called the Wilshire Center. This is created with a filter called Light Lab, where the left side is bluish and the right side is pink. Here we have a pink Christmas tree farm and some pink leaves, a rainbow branch. This is a rainbow palm tree, a rainbow bird, a rainbow salthead, a rainbow shore image, and this is the Rehoboth Beach boardwalk at night with rainbow streaks, and this is the Rehoboth Beach boardwalk during the day. The Rehoboth Beach Gay and Lesbian Center this summer is celebrating 35 years, and they're having an art show, and they just accepted this work of mine today. So I'll be submitting those images, some of them to Oddball magazine for their Pride images, and hopefully there'll be some people who will submit some text that will accompany them. Just a few news items. My local writers group is called the Rehoboth Beach Writers Guild. They have an acrostic activity where 3 artists show a piece of art, and 3 writers write to that. I participated in that this morning, and one of the artists has asked for me to help us publish her flash fiction with my visual art. And there's another magazine called Sage Cigarettes, which is having a summer theme called Deep, which has to do with the ocean. And they've accepted 3 of my nautical images for the summer. So thank you for letting me share some of my gay pride images for next month's Pride, which will be June 2026.
Thank you, Robert. I'd like to bring up next as we close. There's 2 people who I can get into the open mic if you're interested. But I'm going. But so Randy, Ariel, if you are interested, although I don't think Ariel's audio is up for me to hear. But regardless, if you're interested in reading, let me know. But for now, I'd like to bring. Oh, Randy's here to support. Awesome. So I will bring it now to Mr. Arthur Stratosphere Williams Jr., Past No Soup feature. Coming back, not content to rest on his laurels. He's taking over the open mic. Take it away, sir.
Thank you, Chad. Glad to be here as always. Appreciate the opportunity to share and join the community and, just give some expression to what I have going on. So this is something I've been working on for a little bit, and it's still in the works. Just trying out a little bit of a new style. So we'll see how you guys feel about it. Okay. External. Family cookout at dusk. The outside lights shine dimly on the aunties and uncles' smiling faces, glowing softly with warm hues, while the rest of the yard makes do with wan street light. The sounds of deep laughter and high cackles paint the air, the ambiance of nostalgia coloring aging walls. Interior, where the beef simmers. Dusk. Muffled laughter gently plays on feelings stretched and laced around support beams that bear the load of tension. Aging walls, paternal, patriarchal, deaden rumbling at the slightest brush across the leathered skin of harsh and aggrieved youth that sound the drum of war. A drum's hollow echoes a call for blood, like the muffled thump of a heart in its chest cavity. Ears lean in to listen to the erratic beat of broken discussion. Moses' lip is pursed and quirked up in a fangless sneer. The author waits intently. A deer in standoff with a stopped car, a roller in his hand, moving like ears, twitching to the bestial growls of an engine. And Money's face is paved stone, but his eyes show that his is porous rock. Mo's voice gravelly like stone traveling dirt roads. Forgive them? Why? Should I forgive them? Who? Who forgave me? When? What was I supposed to see when in my darkest days, nobody shined that light for me? The roller comes to a stop, rotation slowing like a revolver's cylinder, forced to address friction with stillness, settling a bullet into its barrel, the author's muzzle, focusing attention, prepared to make a point. The author's hand grasps vice and is steadied by the grip, the warm weight of an aluminum frame, absorbing the prickling heat of skin, flushed from panic, quietly carried. The author's eyes slide scrupulously, conspicuously, tracking clay pigeons of thought, observing the effect of obvious trigger discipline, the pointed silence of mechanical trigger control, the steady tension of straight pressure, the fading hostility of shattered targets carried on the echoes of shrapnel, plink, 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 plinking against the walls of empathy. The pin drop in the quiet after Kevlar expires, the body in armor, protecting the target of love from its shell, an unadorned boom, the unmistakable sound of safety and danger, vulnerability voiced after violence. The author considers their next words in bullet time. Thank you.
Thank you, Stratosphere, Arthur. And I'd like to bring up Ariel Fior before we have James Van Loy close us out. Ariel, if you have something. Ariel was our feature back in April, and it's good to have him back.
Yeah, hey, what's going on, man? It's been a minute. I apologize for being late.
No worries. You're here just in time for the feature. If you haven't heard Steve before, you're in for a treat.
No, I'm excited. I actually let me see if I could pull up something. I'm looking for a really good piece that I wrote a while ago that I think would be good for this. So I apologize for scrolling while looking. Um, let me see here. View. Okay. I think I've got something for you guys. I have a couple pieces that I can actually put together. This is called Kitsugi. I don't know if I read this last time, but it's actually a really good piece that goes in the collection Where the Tide Rises Up. Old man, live in me. I know my church is in disrepair. Like abandoned hope, wallpaper peeling, paint chipping. The pews have rotted, altar marble, weathered. But should you stay, I know you will roll new paint. Wallpaper will be changed out. You, the carpenter, will craft new pews of oak and cedar. The marble will polish. Kitsugi, mending the cracks with fine grace, carefully poured into the wounds of this stone. You know, back then in the market square where you walked through bloody and torn, I would have given you water because I knew they would not. There's that one. And I think I have another one. Let's see. Um, this is called Caber. Memories monolithic, places that no longer exist in time, structures we build atop scavenging its catacombs, subterranean, looking for comfort in loss of self. But wind chimes, my grandmother said, are magical creatures. They sing the song of summer, bringing you back to when all was once right. All right. And then let's see if I got one more for you. It's a short guy. It's a little one. Um, hmm. Let's take a look. What do I have? I might have one more. All right. I don't think so, this one has a title. I don't think I title it. Sometimes I will write something and then I will think of a title at the last minute, which is why some of my titles are kind of off. So this is unentitled. Time is a constant reminder of what was lost and what is yet to come. When the cup runneth over, will they then ask, "Are you clean?" What will they ask when I have nowhere to go? Do you miss home? What will they ask when they see me alone? Are you thinking of her? There is a tired that has settled far beyond the bones. It lay in the soul. I see birds. I am filled with envy. What beautiful wings that could carry me back to my childhood. That's what I got. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you for coming back, Ariel. And now we're going to close out the open mic and get to the feature. I hope you all stay to listen. He's been staying to listen to you. But we'll close out for the open mic with our regular closer, the longtime friend of Stone Soup and longtime Oddball columnist. Check out his poem column, It's All One Thing, at oddballmagazine.com. It publishes every Thursday at 11 o'clock without fail, even if Facebook fails to promote it, like it does with a lot of our posts. But let's welcome up Mr. James Van Loy.
Thanks, Chad. So I got my this is actually a May Day poem because the the annual memorial for those who died on the streets or in the shelters of the Commonwealth always used to take place on May 1st until they changed it to the winter solstice. So this is a poem from a May Day, and actually it mentions Brother Blue in here because I actually was the one who kind of organized the program for that particular event, and Brother Blue was the guest speaker. Labyrinth. Here we are again at the center of the labyrinth Cow Pass City, near the fountain on Boston Common, whose bright green May grass floats cardboard tombstone, and each one bears at least one name, graced by a cut flower and flags that fly on sticks for the veterans. There are almost too many to count, especially from the distant gold of the State House dome. Tell the native people who built the fish weir we found on the other end of Common about homes. We're all homeless Americans. Great changes happen when the sky cries. Brother Blue is really a healing doctor. Every word becomes a poem of tomes. 15 years ago, I scribed the names on white crosses with black paint and with a handful of disgruntled shelter workers, pounded them as stakes of protest into the heart of the city by the old bandstand close by. Long ago, back in school, they said the labyrinth was a symbol of the city maze with a half man, half beast minotaur monster at its center to devour country kids. But those Native Americans always knew it was the Mother Earth. Now we gather for the 14th annual memorial service to commemorate those who died without a home. And even the microphone and the podium go silent. There are hundreds of workers and volunteers from service organizations and advocacy agencies gathered all around the cardboard headstones. 15 years ago, there were about 60 names I scribed in black paint on crosses. Last year, there were more than 180 names on the cardboard headstones painted by the artists at St. Francis House Art Program. This year, they painted 229 names, so many that many tombstones have more than one name for the first time ever. Perhaps this is the city labyrinth, an engine of death. Who is the Minotaur monster? And where is Mom? Where is Mom? And here's a song to go with it called Peaceful Kingdom by Patti Smith. And it's for Rachel Corey, who was run down by a giant Israeli bulldozer trying to stop them from bulldozing the house that she had been staying in. Yesterday I saw you standing there with your hand against the pane, looking out the window at the rain. And I wanted to tell you that your tears were not in vain. But I guess we both knew we'd never be the same, never be the same. Why must we hide all these feelings inside? Lions and lambs shall abide. Maybe one day we'll be strong enough to build it back again, build the peaceable kingdom back again, build back again. Maybe one day we'll be strong enough to build it back again, build the peaceable kingdom. Build it back again. Build the peaceable kingdom. Build it back again. Build it back again. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Van Loy. Much appreciated. All of you are appreciated. I appreciate you all staying for the feature tonight. Quick reminder, we are not stopping anything. We're going full speed in the 55th anniversary month. Next week is Meg Smith, and that'll be on the 20th. On the 27th will be a surprise returning friend of Stone Soup. Some of you in the early 2000s will know the name when I say it. Others, the rest of you, you're in for a treat. I'm looking forward to that. And hopefully I'll be making announcements for June as well. We'll be taking at least a 1 week off in July due to personal reasons, but we will keep the poetry going as best we can until then. And hopefully we'll have more surprises coming up in regards to Stone Soup and maybe other friends, poetry friends as well. Our feature tonight is Steve Glines, who, as I said before, was someone who I was very familiar with from his own work with Stone Soup, with it, hosting and organizing it for a brief time. Actually, I think during the time I first featured at Stone Soup as a non-host, just a hanger on, just in one more hanger on. I always appreciated that opportunity. And I think that was when my college friend Brett was going as well, and a bunch of other people who passed out of the scene and living the good life in small town Massachusetts now. Stephen Glines, however, is still in the trenches. In addition to being the editor of the Wilderness House Literary Review, is also an essayist, journalist, storyteller, occasional poet, and bon vivant. His motto is, "The best is barely good enough." Steve has published 7 books, only 2 of which might be considered even remotely literary. That's his words, not mine. His boilerplate, not mine. A travelogue about Fiji and a novel entitled Poplar Hill. He has been published in Ibberson Street, the Belmont Citizen, the Littleton Independent, Unix Review, Technology Review, and the Boston Globe, among others. He has never been published in the Paris Review, the Antioch Review, Crazy Horse, the Atlantic Monthly, or the Kenyon Review. Welcome to the non-elite, sir. I think we can all count our numbers on those ranks. What is that? Is that the equivalent of the EGOTs? Those the publications you don't get in. To these awesome credentials, it should also be added that he has never received a MacArthur Award, nor has been nominated for a Pulitzer Prize. Still, for some reason, people like what he writes, and on occasion even pay him for it. Ladies and gentlemen, you get to applaud him for it. Put your hands together about 10 to 20 times. Let's say 40 times for Mr. Steve Glines. Virtually, audibly, however you'd like. Put the hands around, do an emoji. Take it away, sir.
Thanks. That's a pretty good introduction. I'll give you a brief history. My grandfather really got me interested in poetry when I was a little kid. My mom used to drop us off there every Saturday morning, and he would read us Robert Burns. Now, if you ever listen to Robert Burns, it's almost indecipherable because my grandfather would do it with a heavy Scottish accent. Then he would tell us in New York English what it meant. Then he'd read it again. So I grew up with that kind of environment. And I arrived in Cambridge in 1970 and discovered that I could hang out at the Grolier bookshop and simply sit in the corner and read all day. And Gordon Carney let me do that because I don't know, he liked me for some reason, which is unusual because Gordon didn't like most people who came into the store. But I remember at one point, I used to go to Blacksmith House. They used to have a thing about once a week. And I found it really boring. It was all the Yale younger poets, which Gordon also said were terrible. So I said, well, where can I find some good poetry? And he said, well, there's this guy, Jack Powers, off in Boston, who does this thing they'll call Stone Soup. So in the late 70s, I went to maybe 4 or 5 weeks of it. And then I got sidetracked into being a father and having to earn a living and raising kids and stuff. But when my daughters became teenagers, they both got into poetry again. So I said, where can we go? Well, Stone Soup. So we got to the point where we went every week. I mean, for probably 4 or 5 years, we were at Stone Soup absolutely every week. And what was funny was Jack Jack. I don't know how many of you knew Jack Powers, but he would show up sometimes, sometimes late, sometimes not at all. So whoever showed up would say, "Oh, okay, I'll host tonight," and then somebody else would host next week, and that's basically the status where Chad, when you met me, we were doing that. We were taking turns. Even my daughter, my 15-year-old daughter, was the host one week. Uh, she also was the primary poet that one week too. In fact, I still have run into people who were at that recital where she read her famous thing. It sucks to be 16. She's now 42, and she even remembers that too. Anyway, it was a lot of fun. And so let's see. Jack was a very interesting character. He knew all that, I'm too young to be a beat poet, but Jack was old enough to know all the beat poets. And at one point, he invited me to go out for lunch he called me up and said, "Come out for lunch with somebody really famous." And I said, "Who's that?" He said, "You'll find out when you get here." It was Lawrence Ferlinghetti. And the funny thing about Lawrence Ferlinghetti is that we spent 3 hours talking about his time in the Navy. We spent maybe 10 minutes talking about poetry. He ran a destroyer escort during the Second World War, did a couple of transits of the Atlantic a few times. And when we finally got around to talking about poetry, he said, he started lecturing me on Japanese poetry. And he said, we misinterpret haikus completely. It's not what we think it is. It's not the regular beat and however many syllables and stuff. And he said, "I'll give you an example. Look, a cloud. No, a flock of birds. Wow." And he really is adamant that that was haiku. And after about 20 minutes, he admitted, "Well, that's now American haiku." So for the next month, I still have I wrote probably 7 or 8 American haikus every day. And I come to to Stone Soup and I recite them every week. I'm not going to do that now. They're really terrible. But I have one haiku that I wrote in that period. It was actually for a high school teacher that I had who I was a senior. I was 18. She had her first teaching job as an English teacher, and we got along. She was 23. But to an 18-year-old boy, a 23-year-old woman sounded very old. So this is this is called Eternal Youth. Though summer now long here, the cherry blossom lingers on and blushes in the innocence of childhood, a mischievous gleam from an eye of wisdom, eternal youth. No, I did that years ago. Now I also have to confess that I used to think I wrote poetry. I used to write in stanzas. At one point, a couple of years ago, I was reciting this particular poem, and they said, "That's not poetry. That's flash fiction." Who knew? I was writing in paragraphs, not stanzas. So what the heck? I'll read my flash fiction / poetry. This one is called, and I think all of you will probably sympathize with this. It's called Hands on the Home Keys and Meditation. Hands on the home keys and meditation. I await a visitation by the muse. This is an old familiar position, and I am comfortable. I look at the back of my hands as I have for decades and note how the wrinkles of age have grown like little gullies upon an ancient hill. I look upon the hands of an old man, as unrecognizable as the face I see in the morning. I smile. She is here. She will always come. I stare somewhere beyond the keyboard, hands in soft focus. Madly they work, and fly scat images, also in soft focus, appear in the upper edges of my vision. I am typing, transcribing words from an ethereal voice, words that will reveal themselves when I look up and dismiss myself from the spell. For now, I enjoy the soothing but undistinguishable voice that drives my hands across the keyboard. Soft and sweet, like the caressing touch of a first love, I am enthralled that this voice, that these hands will create such beauty. I wish for an eternity, but creation, like procreation, has an end, and I must eventually look up and into the eyes of the face of God. I catch but a fleeting glimpse of a quickly departing muse, off no doubt to pluck the strings or press the keys of another desperate lover. I sit motionless, staring at the work before me in awe. I am satisfied, exhilarated, exhausted. This beauty is not of my doing, though I shall take credit for it. I shall have my name, and just as the child of another labor does. It shall have my name, just as the child of another labor does. I look down at my trembling hands, the wrinkling hands of an old man, older for the experience, older for the toil life takes on those driven to the muse. She is gone now, but she will return. She will return. Faith is a promise we make to ourselves to be at her beck and call. When she returns, these hands will be ready, hands on the home keys in meditation. Okay, good. Flash fiction. Well, this one is back to being ordinary poetry. Eh. I hope you like it. This is actually the only one I have ever set to song, but I won't sing it for you, I promise. You'll be happy. This is called The Derelict. The wind blows strong, but it's not warm, and the stormy sea is sway. Alone she lies, beneath the skies and beneath the stormy main. The crew of hers so much deserve, so much for their desires, for the sea is cold and the waves are bold, and her captain now retired. In her home port no news is sought, and her hull may rot forever. But somewhere now, I don't know how, they'll hear of her sunken treasure. Okay. How am I doing?
Keep going. You're good.
Good.
Yeah, you got time.
Let's see. Now, this is slowly getting into stuff I actually wrote about Jack. If can I see so hands? How many of you actually knew Jack Powers, if anybody? Okay, a couple of you. Okay, good. So you'll understand this one, I think. I hope. This is called the Passion, Easter Sunday, 2013. Many are called, but few are chosen. Pray for those still waiting in the wilderness, and are called, but are yet unchosen. He sorts packages by day to support the night. Bin A to bin B, bin C to bin D, not for warmth or slumber, but to drink cheap wine and drink of another world. He does this because he wants to, because he needs to, because he has to, because he is called. It is her choice, she tells herself, paint and canvas or heat and light. Days pass with strokes of a brush, while her hands shake in the cold, dark night. These are not for her, she tells herself. She paints because she wants to, because she needs to, because she is called. At the great bazaar, the chosen throw garlands and blessings to the many who are in secret, who cry in secret, for among them many are called, and few are chosen. Anyway. Thanks. This one I actually wrote about Jack. Jack was real inspiration. I mean, I'll give you an example. My daughter fell absolutely in love with my 15-year-old daughter, and she decided to catalog. And if any of you had ever been in his house, it was a colossal mess. My office is a mess, but Jack's place was packed to the brim with poetry stuck everywhere. And my daughter decided to catalog, and after cataloging 2,000 poems, she'd only done one corner because he would write things on an envelope and put them in a pile and grab a handful and come to Stone Soup and read them. So anyway, this is about Jack. The smell of real poetry. Delicious words crammed one atop another so tightly, thoughts overlap and mix with the smell of the sea, inspiring even those who claim not to understand and yet cry, standing naked before God and man. The old man walking alone on the dunes by the sea, crying quietly to himself of a youth he does not really remember, but is nevertheless long gone, never to return but in sad memories of the smell of the sea and the scent of the long forgotten happiness. This one I wrote for did see, I know Chad, you were at his was it 70th birthday party after he had a stroke and he couldn't speak, I think.
Yeah.
I wrote this for him specifically for that. It's called A Pale Imitation of a Poem for Jack Powers. Inspiration on the back side, inside flap of an old utility bill. 3 poems to be read once, then placed in a filtering system only a fireman could love. Old man rises for Madonna with child. Noisy, smelly subway car. Modern manager. God bless, God bless. Screams to the Almighty. Murder the infidel. Blasphemous. Pox upon your house, all of your houses. And we wonder why God is silent. Bus travelers in common. Conversation stricken. Our destination when we become fearful alone again. Why? When we had so much in common. Let's see. Now, this one is well, this is an ode to Jack. It's called, and this I will confess, this is not even, I won't even pretend this is poetry, although it's flash fiction. Let's put it that way. It's titled First Sunday After the Ascension of Saint Jack. We sit in a pew 3 empty rows from the front, where the Reverend is sure to spot us. I am here to satisfy my wife's desire to find a church I will tolerate. I have a spiritual side. I seek the truth. I seek compassion. I seek justice. I am my brother's keeper, but I am not religious. I cannot be religious given what is done in the name of religion. Nietzsche was right. God is dead, or at least no longer cares. He has moved on to populate another place with his offspring. By Zeus, I hope it works out for them. The Protestant priestess of this well-appointed church offers the usual incantations and exhortations, and passing on to the homily, she fawns and gushes over a prominent member of the church sitting in the front row like a peacock. She adores him and asks him to read. His name is Matthew, but he reads from John 6. The irony is lost on all. His suit is French, his shoes and tie are Italian, and I suspect his car is German. He has gone far on pocket change. It has been a week since Jack died. Poor and penniless, he thrived on a pension of crumbs and love from the flock he tended, those for whom the word was paramount. No one was unwelcome at his table, and no one lacked a shelter from the storm. His tent could sleep a multitude if required, and while his shoes sank into the mud from the holes in them, he would have walked barefoot willingly. I looked down to hide a tear rolling down my cheek. Jack would not be welcome here. The word was not worshipped here. Yet I recognized the language rolling effortlessly off the silver tongue of the Matthew reading from John. He has his reward. I know this church. They would shut and lock their doors to the homeless at night. Next week, my wife will ask me to try yet another church. I pray for different results. Anyone want me to read Matthew 6? Just in case?
Yes.
No? Yeah, somebody? It's
Yeah.
be careful not to practice your righteousness in front of others to be seen by them. If you do, you will have no reward from your Father in heaven. So when you give to the needy, do not announce it with trumpets, and as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and on the streets, to be honored by others. Truly, I tell you, they have received the reward in full. Anyway, so that's that one. Now moving on to some other stuff. I had another friend, Don O'Brien, who we were friends at a gym when I was about 30 and he was 60. And I remember he he fell over and hurt himself one day, and I said, you're not. I said, Don, you're not 30 anymore. He looked at me and went, "You're going to regret those words someday." I was in Seoul, South Korea, and I thought I could run across the street when I was 70. Well, I didn't make it. My hamstring went boing, and I went smack. I broke my arm, smashed my head, knocked myself out. And all I can remember when I came to was Don O'Brien going, "You're going to regret those words someday." So anyway, this was not specifically about Don, but it's about another veteran. This is called Veteran of a Foreign War. By the way, this is when I read this, and this is when people said, "That's not poetry. That's flash fiction." Okay, fine. So this is flash fiction. I apologize for writing in paragraphs, not in stanzas. Anyway, Tony is a bartender, a tough guy. Guts and glory tattoos cover his exposed arm and suggest more. When the bar closes, he puts on his leather jacket, pumps his Harley to life, and disappears into the night. He says he lives out there and mumbles the name of a town, one I've never heard of. He says he has an ex-wife out there and a couple of kids, too. One night, a rowdy customer spills a drink on Tony's shirt. His nostrils flare, but he keeps his cool. "You're cut off unless you got a really big tip for me." He grins and takes off his shirt. The chevrons on a gunnery sergeant, 3 stripes and 2 rockers adorn his arms. He's still wearing a uniform. "I see you were in the service," I say. I sort of ask. He says he was in the Marines and laughs. "Hey, Gunny," I say, "bring me a beer." He grins and says, "That's Master Sergeant to you. Been meaning to get that fixed." Did you see any action?" I ask, hoping for a story. He points to a scar ripping through the chevron on his left arm and says nothing. The worried look on his face as he puts his wet shirt back on says all he's going to say. And then this one is the old man. And this is about Don, but it's not really, because Don, this is the character Don O'Brien. The old man. His tired body falls heavily on the stool. The unlit stub of a cigarette hangs limply from his lips, while his eyes stare distantly into the small mirror hinged on a makeup box. An aspirin swallowed with a half shot of fortification to ease the pain of arthritic bones. He studies the forced smile reflected in the mirror, moving his head back and forth. Outlines of grease paint, aging smile cracks on a reflected image, titanium white, ruby red, and lamp back. Curtain call, 5 minutes. He takes a deep breath, stands up, stretches, shaking pain from his joints and memory. At the edge of the curtain, he takes place with the others to bury for a time age and ego. It's showtime. A thespian's pride in performance, a flawless ballet performed for the 10,000th time. No adjustment necessary, none needed. Applause. He glows, fulfilled for a brief moment. He retires from the stage after 4 curtain calls. Tired, his body falls limply on the stool in front of a small mirror. He stares into the distance and smiles, recalling the applause, the bows, the hurried "good job" from the master of ceremonies. As he swiftly moves the troupe off stage, he smiles and relights the stub of a cigarette, 2 heavy puffs, deeply inhaled. One old tattered terry cloth wipes the night from the skin deeply poured and cracked from a lifetime of grease paint and sweat. Lukewarm water and rose-scented soap, a gift from a carny girl, clean all but the deepest pores, leaving the suggestion of a mask of permanent happiness. Some fortification for the night to come. Alone now, a small tear runs swiftly down a cheek, rejected by the traces of the thespian's mask. The age of regrets. He shakes it off, closes the mirrored box, and walks into the night. Tents to take down, tigers, lions, and bears to feed, and elephants too. And 150 miles to drive before sleep in a shanty hand-built with pride on the back of an old pickup truck. Home for now. He pauses before sleep to gaze upon the breath of another sleeping town. Smoke curls from chimneys. Here he will be life he's always dreamed of. Here will be happiness. Here will be one last performance before the mirror box closes for good. It will be a great performance tomorrow, but tonight it's cold. Some fortification for the night to come. And I got one last one for Don O'Brien. I got a few more if you really want more, but this is the last one I was planning on doing. Now, Don O'Brien had he was 80 years old. He had a stroke, and it was one of those kind of strokes that you knew was going to kill him. And he was in a nursing home, and we go for about 3 months. He was in there, and every Saturday or every Sunday, I should say, we go watch the Patriots. And so we watched for on and on and on. Anyway, this is the last view of a mortal man for Don O'Brien. Wishing for end to come swiftly, but it lingers for 2 years. More, abandonment of the spirit, please. But the soul lingers against the will. Give up, give it up, give it all up. Perversity of nature, fight on and on and on. I sit next to him, watching football as we have for years and years, and what a bad call, I cry. I see a smile, I think, but he is unresponsive. His children unresponsive, his wife dead. We sit alone now, just the two of us, friends unwilling to see a dying man, he unwilling to be seen dying. What he had is gone, mostly. What he has left are memories, recorded in a book, his only possession. Port to port, the story of a young man's journey into manhood. Port to port, the story of a warship clearing for action. Port to port, memory of those who remained. 4 years we were 4 years we were best buddies, tied by the sea, the sea, the sea. He, the old chief, I, the collector of stories. He sank a camel in the Suez Canal. The United States Navy posed briefly on the way to save the world in Korea and Indochina. At the helm of a great ship, in the face of a typhoon, even the admiral was sick. Military paradise, a 45 on your belt, a 60-inch gun at your back, and an angry Turkish soldier with bayonet fixed at your side. First class, chief, master chief, petty officer, principal character in this poem. You rise to the ranks as you fail. I stare out the window as he has these many days. Fixed prison of his last year as a mortal man. We shared a beer at Thanksgiving. We shared a beer. I drank it at Christmas. I drank to his health at New Year's. I'm sorry he's not here now, they said without emotion. Call the family. We buried him last Tuesday, she said. Was there a service, I asked? No, she said, and hung up. So,
Nice.
what do you think?
You got a couple more?
Yeah, I got a few more.
Let's do it.
These, this is blue-haired lady at the blackjack table. She moves like a lithe cat. Her age no handicap. Indeed, her age is an asset. They dismiss her. Just another little old lady. But she misses nothing. Mind like a 30-year-old, they said when someone thought she was counting cards. She became the little lady she was. What? She cried, as though she couldn't hear. The burly bouncer smiled, patted her on the back, shook his head, and walked away. $3,000 up. She walked away, cashed in her chips. She's got 40 years on them, the babes. She'll try another table. Texas Hold'em, maybe. Odds aren't as good, but she can hide. Lose a bit, then head back to the blackjack table. She knows the score, the new croupier. She can keep 260 cards in her head. Rent made, the month's medicine earned. She wants a good dinner, courtesy of the house, they say. She thanks them and shuffles off to the next casino. Her hair now pink. Anyway, that was one. So this one's cafe culture. It's not Paris in the 1920s, nor even Paris in the 1950s, when Hemingway Posier sat cross-legged on the floor of Shakespeare and Company and dreamt of sleeping on the cot too short for anyone except Hemingway. I doubt he ever slept there. Pretty little girl, bubbly, clueless, blithers about who knows what, but her smile illuminates the cave. Intense girlfriend puts the Macintosh computer from a Gucci bag. What was once the age of the artist, the beret, the loathsome, troubled look, is replaced by fat, middle-aged, approaching old-age men. The young thing who looks too well fed to be an artist or poet. That didn't work. I didn't read it very well. What do we got here? Another one. More little old ladies. Sitting in a window seat for an exotic for them, Starbucks. Seats with a view of a construction site. The Oogle the bare-chested men at work while drinking their lattes and chatting about what? Church social, grandchildren, deadbeat husbands, and recipes. For killer apple pie, they glance aside. When they think no one is watching, they dream of the vixens they once were. Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to do this one because I can't. I've tried reading this one. I'm terrible at it. This is something somebody has to sing. So I'm done. I read everything way too fast.
No, you did. You timed that very well. Give a round of applause. Another 30, 40 claps. Any emojis you can throw his way for Mr. Steve Glines.
What
Still
did you do?
working after all these years. What's the next book project, sir?
What the next book project? Let's see. I
Yeah.
just finished a book by Susan Tepper. I finished a book by your oddball friend.
Oh, that's right, Jason. Yeah, I think he sends his
I,
regards. He wasn't able to make it tonight. I did pass it on to him.
I finished the whole thing except for the cover. I told him, do you have a blurb for the cover? No. So somebody quick, write him a blurb.
I'll have to get on that.
And let's see. Randy Barish, I did a book for a year or two ago.
Any of your books coming out again?
My book's coming out again?
You must
Well,
have one more in you at least.
oh yeah, I did Poplar Hill, and then I decided I was going to do about halfway through. I don't know if I'll finish or not, but Poplar Hill takes place in the 1990s. And an old lady talking about living in Germany, Nazi Germany in 1930s. I decided to tell the exact same story again, but do it from 1937, present tense. I'm about halfway done with that. I thought that would be interesting. I'm almost done with another story called Fennec, which is roughly what could have happened my senior year in high school, but didn't, thank goodness. I got into a major clash with this cop, and every time he tried to arrest me, he'd get himself hurt. I had a motorcycle. He stopped me on the motorcycle, and while he was huffing and puffing, a car hit him. Another
Damn.
time, he had decided that I was guilty of I wasn't guilty of any of these things. He just had it in me to get me. That someone had stolen a purse from someone, and I happened to be walking up the street, and he tried to tackle me, and I heard him, and I turned sideways, and he ran into the street and went smack, and knocked himself out. It's like he kept doing that, and finally, about 10 years ago, this was in New Canaan, Connecticut. My daughter went to Drexel in Philadelphia, and New Canaan was about halfway from here to Philadelphia. So I stopped in there for lunch, New Canaan for lunch. And I came out of the restaurant, and I heard this one cop screaming at other cops, which cops don't do that. I went, what's going on here? I just went to look. And there he was, Bill Ferry. And I couldn't help myself. I said, son of a bitch, you're still here? they didn't fire you long ago? Because he always getting in trouble. And he looks and goes, who are you? So I told him who I was. And he said, did I ever arrest you? I said, you tried many times, but Ed Reddy wouldn't let you. He said, who's, and the two other cops said, who's Ed Reddy? He said, oh, he was just head of the police unit. He said, yeah, he was also your ship supervisor. And but the thing about Bill Ferry was he was a bully. And one thing I've learned about bullies is that they're always afraid of a bigger bully. So I just became a bigger bully. He leans to me and goes, what do you do? And I leaned back and I said, I'm a state senator up in Massachusetts. I get to yell at the governor, which is bullshit, of course. But he absolutely melted in front of me.
Wow.
I've told that story a couple of times, and somebody said, well, what are you going to tell if he asks you again? I said, oh, simple. I'm now a retired circuit judge.
There you go.
So what the heck?
Nice.
But anyway, if you got more time to kill, I can show you some of the paintings that I've done that I put into that competition. Then decided, since I got too many friends who are more professional painters
Can
than
you
I
share
am.
the screen?
Yeah, I can share the screen. Let me see if I can.
All right, go ahead. Everyone has permission, so you should be able to. No problem.
Okay, let me find my stuff first. And collection. Here we go. Okay, now I'll start with I'll start with me. No, not that one. That one's terrible. Here we go. Now, what I've been doing, which is kind of funny, um, you know, I have to do book covers, as you know, and I use Photoshop, and sometimes the tools can get really convoluted and take a long time. I have magically discovered ChatGPT. And the nice thing about artificial intelligence, if you frame the question or the frame the thing right, it will do exactly what you want to do. So let me see. So here's a self-portrait. What do you think? Eh,
Very nice.
pretty cool, huh?
That's a fun one.
Yeah. And let's see. We got a bunch of them here. That's my granddaughter. That's my wife. Oh, now this wonderful young girl that my daughter Kitty told me that um, this is like 2019. You can't use Facebook anymore. That's way too old. You know, nobody watches that. I have to do TikTok. So I put up TikTok, and almost the very first person I met was this Stella Cole. She's 19, and she had an amazing voice. I mean, once in a decade voice. So I liked her. I didn't see her again for a few months. She popped up again. I liked her again. Well, all of a sudden, she's a blossoming superstar. So anyway, she published a photograph of her that I painted. This is actually a combination of Photoshop and ChatGPT. This one, whoops, I took it. She's doing a five
Oh,
or 6
nice.
days at the Cafe Carlyle in New York City, which is a very swanky place. So I did a bunch of covers for her, two different paintings of her, and so I put all these things in. And let me get out of there and see if I can find, if anybody's interested, find some other stuff that. Oh, you guys like this. Last, I don't know if any of you know about my novel, Poplar Hill. It takes place in Nova Scotia, but it's largely about pre-World War II Nazi Germany. We were it takes place in Munich, and at one point, let's see if I can find it here. My mother used to hang out at the same place in Munich that Hitler hung out at. In fact, she met him a couple of times. And while we were there, my wife took a photograph of me in the same position. It's no, that's not a good yet. But then we went to Salzburg, Austria, and there is a park there where in the 16th century the local bishop commissioned a bunch of gargoyles for all the famous people in the city. And there was such fun that I had fun doing them here. These are all Chat GPT. Okay. So let me see. Here we go. Whoop. So you can guess who that is. Can you guess who that is?
Uh,
Stephen Miller.
Right.
there you go. Oh, nice.
Not enough mascara.
Oh, that's me again. Never mind. Anyway, I thought you'd have fun with that.
Good. Thank you so much, Steve. It's getting close to 9. I definitely will definitely share anything else. Share some of this stuff on the Stone Soup Facebook page. It'll be great to see it. And whatever your newest project is, we'll definitely take a look at it as well. And thank you so much for the work on Jason's book as well.
Yeah, it's a good one.
I'll have to grab an advanced copy so I can actually give it a quote.
You want me to email you the PDF?
Yeah, sure.
Okay,
That'd be
we'll do
great.
that.
I didn't know it was that close to completion.
Yeah,
But
it's done. I think it's done. I mean, he hasn't gotten back to me with any errors yet, so I'm sure there are some.
Well, good luck with that. And thank you so much for featuring tonight. And thanks to everyone who came out to listen tonight. Next week is Meg Smith. I hope you can show up for that. Obligatory wave time as we segue to from out of here to the new day and the next week. Check out oddballmagazine.com. Check out Stone Soup Poetry. There are publishing opportunities that pop up every once in a while. And thanks to everyone for contributing tonight. And thanks for being here for the 55th anniversary month. Can be like this every week. All we need is you. Or as I like to say it, at the end of the day, the show's over. See you next time. Have a good night. And thanks again to Steve. And we'll talk soon.
Bye bye. Got brownstone hell. I got